Hey everybody, and welcome to today's video in which we are going to try to model this faucet you see over here in this image. So basically for this image we're going to use the Subi faucet or the Subi basin mixer from the Phoenix Tapware showers and accessories. You can get to this site over at phoenixtapware.com.au, and they have quite a bit of collections in here, so you can check out some of their models, and the one that we're going to be working on is this one. So what we have here is an image of the actual faucet, how it looks like, and next to it we have the technical specs. In order to get the technical specs, simply scroll down and download it line drawing. As soon as you have this, bring it back into 3ds Max and you should have something like this. Now, in case you are not clear as to how to get this looking like this, starting from the line drawing, check out the previous video that I made where I go in detail over how you can download that technical spec, get it to be as a blueprint, and get it to be at the right scale. Once you have it set up, we can start modeling this faucet from scratch. Modeling this faucet is really not that hard, but it does have a few quirks that we need to iron out and see how we can proceed. So basically, before you model anything, what you want to do is find a logical way of dividing this into a few parts. So the first one is the main body. This is the entire body here, as you can see it on the image, this whole portion here. The second one would be the little ring on the bottom, or the base, and the third one is the handle for which you control the water. So we have three elements that we need to make. So let's continue, or let's start with the easiest one. That would be the base of it. So this is basically just a ring. If you take a look down here, it says it has a diameter of 46 millimeters. So we're going to go to create, take a spline. Now make it a circle from the middle out, draw out a spline of about 23 millimeters. So 23 millimeters radius, that is 46 millimeters of diameter. So that is right. So I'm gonna rotate this up to 90 degrees and we get this. But before I do this, in case when you made your line, if it has more size than it has mine, which I'm pretty sure it does, your interpolation in your circle option here is probably set to 6. That is going to give it that much more smooth look. In my case, I brought it down to 2 just so I can control the geometry better. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, pull it upwards till about here, like that. Now put an extrude modifier to it. That is going to give us some thickness. And with that, we basically have a ring which is low poly that we can fix up later on. Now for this, what I want to do here is I'm going to create a cylinder for the base. So for now, I'm going to go and I can actually put this into its own layer. So make it a base ring. Put this thing in here and hide it. There we go. All right, awesome. Now let's continue with making a cylinder for our main body. So something like this should work. Rotate it. I'm going to reduce the number of sides. Something like, well, let's go with 8. Or actually, let's go with 10 or more. Yeah, this should work. 10 can work. So now what we want to do here is remove the height segments from here. And I'm going to press Alt X so I can see what is happening here. Yeah, this is going to be right. Just 12 sides is going to do wonders. All right, edit poly on this thing. So now we can modify it, move it upwards. So until this portion over here follows this curve. And now what we want to do is select the polygons and select all of these polygons here. Those ones, and delete them. Make sure you get the ones on the top and ones on the bottom. Now the reason for doing this is that once we delete those, we can now basically select this half over here and delete it as well. There we go. So now we are basically working on just one half of it, but as soon as we put a symmetry modifier on it, on the y-axis, basically get the other half. So we only have to work on one side. So back to those edit poly. And what I want to do here is add in a few segments here so it can help me define this border closer. So in order to do this, I'm going to go with my edge, and over here we have, in the modeling ribbon, you have Swift Loop. I have it bind on my keyboard, so again, just add it. Unless you don't have it as a keybind, just click on Swift Loop and you can add wherever you want it. Now, I'm going to move this a tiny bit to the back like this. Move this as well over here. Move this over here. Select all of the edges up here. Hold down Shift and pull it upwards until we get about to the end over here. Now simply make sure that the top ones are following this edge like that. This is going to go over here, and now simply select this edge and extrude it this way. It really doesn't matter at this point that we have this huge gap over here and it's not really following this line, but we will fix that in a minute. Now we're just trying to get the rough shape of this thing. There you go. Up till about here, not till the end, because for the end I just want to get one more edge like that and move it off like that. Alright, now since we need to have more geometry so we can have this line being followed better, I'm going to use the Swift Loop again, add in one over here, add in one over here. There we go. Let's start following it. It starts following it better. And in general, you want to make sure that you keep all of your polygons more or less the same size. So I'm going to add in just two more, so they're more or less uniform all around. All right, awesome. So we have this base for our faucet. Now, here's the thing. This is, if you take a look at the image, you're going to notice that this here portion is flat, right? Where the pointer is going, it's flat, but as it goes around, it gets to be, it has this very, very sharp edge over here. And so far, we are still missing the inner part. So let's fix that issue. In order to do that, we have to select all of the faces here that we have on the inside, like that. This one and this one. Hold down Shift and just drag out one copy over here, or pretty much just out from there. Now we want to put it to the border or the end over here, like that. I do know that sometimes this process can be a bit tedious because you're just sitting there pulling vertices, but hey, you are a 3D modeler. You should like this stuff. All right, there we go. I'm gonna put this all the way up here. I'll put this all the way up here. Just do a bit of tweaking like that. There we go. All right, now since we have selected all of those vertices up there, what we want to do now is we are going to turn on snaps. Make sure that we have the snaps set at vertex. Click on the y-axis and simply snap it over to this vertex. That means that now this line, or the inner line, is going to lie flat with our symmetry line, which is this point over here. So what this does is, once we turn on the symmetry, now we get a full-on model. So it goes both sides. All right. Once we have that, now we just need to add in one more edge in the middle here that is going to help us hold this form. And that is quite easy, because all you have to do is go with the Swift loop, just tap it once. You can also, if you just put a Swift loop, it's going to put it right where you click. But if you hold down Shift while you have the Swift loop selected, it's going to try and put the line in between two edges and softened the drop line. So what that means is that once we put on the symmetry, now we have, instead of just getting a straight line, we have a natural curve to this, which is what we wanted. All right, and now that we have the bottom part, we want to do the same thing just for the upper portion over here. And that is going to be the same idea. So just simply select all of these guys up till about, think about here is fine. We don't want to get all of these here, because there is another crevice over here that we would have to model. But for now, just select those. Hold down Shift, put it into Y. Then, there we go, up to there. For this one, I'm going to target weld this vertex to this one, like that. And then another option till about there. And again, target weld this one over there. And with that, we more or less have, when we put on the symmetry, we have that portion finished up. But now that we just modeled this thing, what we can notice is that once we go down to this portion over here, and we go and check out our front viewport, we're going to notice that we need to have this dip, or we need this to follow this edge. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take all of those vertices, move it upwards until this thing starts to follow this curve that this faucet has. So about here. There we go. I'm going to have to take in, well, actually, hold on. I'm going to go Control Z. I'm going to select all of those edges, as you can see in the middle. I'm going to hold down Control and click on Vertex. That is going to select all of the vertices along that edge. Deselect the front one, and now select all of these guys as well. So the ones that we just made in the inner portion. Pull them upwards a tiny bit, like that. Now, deselect the ones here, and the rest of them, pull them out so they define the silhouette of the faucet. There we go. Great. So with this, we basically have that portion made. So let's go ahead and do this portion. So just close up the door here, or close up the hole. The way to do it is quite simple again. Make sure you have this, there you go, target weld, this portion to here. lower it down, lower this one down as well. And what we want to do here is select those two, 3, 4 on the side. Hold down shift with the scale, pull them inwards, and now we want to take this vertex, snap it back to where it was, because we're still working with symmetry, and that should help us hold down that edge. Pull this one in like that, and this should be okay for now. So now when we put on symmetry, we get that look. Now if I put on a turbo smooth on the model as it is right now, we will get something, but it's going to be very gooey. It doesn't have any distinct look, and we don't have that sharpness that this faucet has. In order to have that, we need to add in some supporting geometry. The supporting geometry here is quite easy to add. All you got to do is select that edge, hold down control, add in a few more edges here wherever we need to have that sharp look, like there. And now simply add in a chamfer with a very small amount, so like 0.1 millimeter. We can put in 2 segments to make it really sharp. Check out and see all, as you can see over here, if there are places where you have 3 edges converging, you're gonna have a little mess that we're gonna have to clean up, but that's not a problem. Again, we have that same problem over here. All right, so let's clean it up. Very easy to clean up. Select all of those, collapse them, select all of those, collapse them, that one is finished. Do the same exact thing over here. Just make sure whenever you're selecting vertices with a selection like this, you don't have anything in the background. You don't want to select anything that doesn't need to be selected. So select those, collapse, select those, collapse. So we no longer have that issue with the tri vertices. That is fine. All right. And now if we turn on the symmetry and turn on the turbo smooth, we get that look. Put in the 2 iterations and we get that sharp look on the edges. If we want to get a sharp look or a sharp feel to the front as well, instead of having it gooey like that, as we can see it does have it here, and in that case, instead of going with the lines all the way down, we could have just went across. But for now, I'm actually going to leave it like this. And the only thing that I actually just noticed is that there should be a hole over here for this portion. So let's go ahead and add in that one. There we go. In order to put that thing in, I will need a bit more geometry in here. So I'm going to move this to the back like that. Move this down a bit. Add in one with the, there we go. And in order to have this, I can simply just fake it, because I can cut in the geometry, but since we're gonna have this cylinder-like shape over here, it's going to go on top of our faucet. There we go. So we can simply put it like that, pull it inwards. It's in the middle, that's fine. Let's make this a tiny bit higher. And there we go. That is cool. Edit poly, I'm going to select the top and the bottom, delete them both, put a shell modifier on top of it, and put in a edit poly, select all of them, loop and chamfer, so we get some sharp edges here as well. So 0.1 with 2 segments, and on top of this we're simply going to put on a turbo smooth, and we get that effect. There we go. Line there. Now this is in case that this lower portion over here will not be seen, but if this will be seen, then instead of doing it like that, we can simply go on top of the symmetry, put in an edit poly modifier, select that corner, select the vertex, chamfer it like that. There we go. Select the one in the center, delete it, and then from the edges over here, cut in one edge over there, another one over there, and you get more or less the perfect geometry for a circle. If you don't want to move it by hand, what you can do here is go ahead and regularize this, but in order to regularize this, I'm gonna have to convert it to an editable poly. Now, in case you don't know what regularize means, is that's a script that you can download from ScriptSpot. I've actually mentioned it in a few of my previous tutorials, and the way it works is for now just gonna go and convert this to an editable poly. And the regularized script is whenever you have something selected like edges that can be made into a perfect circle, all you gotta do is right click, hit regularize, and you get this effect. So you can now make this bigger. Hold on, shift. And when I put on the turbo smooth, now you get this to look like it has been cut with a perfect circle. But like I said, for now we don't need that, and I'm actually going to leave it up like this, put on the turbo smooth, and we have the base for our faucet as well with the place where the water is supposed to come out. So let's proceed to making the top portion or the handle for this faucet. For creating the handle, instead of going from the start, I'm actually going to reuse geometry that I've already made. So in order to get this portion over here, what I'm going to do is turn off the edit poly because I don't want to have that middle hole that I just made. So over here down in the edit poly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all this geometry up to here like this. So with this type of geometry selected, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to detach it as a clone. So click OK, and now select the clone that we just took and move it upwards till about there. I'm going to use the effect pivot, center it so I can see it better. And now I need to clean up this geometry first. So what that means is I don't want to have all of this geometry. As you can see, this upper portion is a bit smaller than this bottom one. So what I'm going to do, just so it make it easier for me, I'm going to select all of these extra edges, hold down Control and Backspace, and delete them. That is going to allow me for easier access or easier control over the size of this thing. And what I want to do here as well is cover up this hole, so I don't have this hole over here. So Control or delete that. Hold down Shift, drag it out once, hit the Z. There we go, up till there. So now simply take the target weld once. There we go, twice. Get the target weld again. And the last thing we want to do here is bridge these two together. And I can cap this off as a triangle because we are using turbo smooth, which means that it will fix this as a quad. All right, so now once we have this, I can see that I have a tiny bit of a angle here, so I can either move it off like this and then start moving vertices, which I think this is what I'm going to do. Select all the verts, move them into position. There we go. Now we're going to have to be a tiny bit careful when we're moving these, because this one is a bit smaller than the one that we had previously. And there we go. Slowly moving them into position. There we go. Now move all of these guys to correspond with what we have on our blueprint. There we go. The top ones go over here. There we go. Just a tiny bit more straightened up, and we will get this portion to look okay. There we go. Also, I know this video is taking just a bit longer than the ones that I usually make, so bear with me. All right, let's make sure that this is really tight. This should give us that extra crispy look or extra sharp look. Put this thing in here. This is going to help us with the controlling the flow or controlling the shape better. And there we go. With this, all of this done, now we can add in a few more edges, and those are going to be used to control how sharp this turn is and how well the geometry is following the original design here we have. Now I'm doing this as a bit of a rush because this video has been going on for quite a bit now, but if you want to get a much better, cleaner result, you might put in just a tiny bit more time into getting this to follow the right shape. But in general, from what I can see here, when I do the select all of the edges here, make sure they are planar on the Y, then take off or take on the effect pivot only and put it over here, so I know it's on the Y flat axis. And now put a symmetry on the Y, flip it, and we get this geometry. If we put on a turbo smooth, we basically get the handle finished for our faucet. So now we have the handle, we have the main body, we have the bottom one. We just need to add in this portion over here, which is more or less connecting the main body with the bottom part, or the handle. That is quite easy. Simply just go into the edit poly here. You can either use the geometry that's underneath the symmetry, or you can add in a different edit poly above symmetry. Doesn't really matter. So hold down Shift, select it upwards once, upward twice, until the geometry goes in like that. But in this case, I probably should have moved all of these guys up like that, so they cover. There you go. Select this. There we go. But like I said, if you want to get this to be a tiny bit cleaner or more like the blueprint is, just spend a bit more time moving all of these vertices in place, and you will get a perfect result. So now when I put on the symmetry and the turbo smooth, and this thing is smoothed, you get this look. If you want to get this portion here not looking flat, what you can do is above the symmetry, add in an edit poly select the border here once, twice, and we get a bit of a thickness, and we get that thing done. Now, one last thing before we call this finish or quit is the fact that something you should always check before you call your model finished. And that thing is to double check the actual size of the geometry that you just made. What I mean by this is whenever you are using Turbo Smooth, it will average out the distance between edges and it will make them smooth. But at the same time, you are going to lose a bit of volume. So in order to get that volume back, what you can do here, as you can see over here, we are now missing volume. So even though that we made everything according to scale, now we are missing volume. And that means that our model is smaller or thinner. Now, this is very easy to fix if you know how to do it. As soon as you're finished with your model, go down to Edit Poly. Over here, as you can see that I have it here. Click on the vertex, and it's going to show you all of these vertices. Now, moving them individually is really not that optimal. But what you can do here is you can click on this Show Cage. Now, this is going to give you the actual cage or the actual geometry that is prior to the Turbo Smooth working. So this gives you the options to move the original vertices up until, and if you have this thing clicked, or the show end result click, it's going to give you the end result or how this thing is going to look after all of the modifiers have been applied. But at the same time, you will be able to move the original geometry. So that gives you the option to select all of those vertices that you want to move and simply move them into position so you have the shape that you really want to retain. So if I've lost any volume over here, I'm simply going to move out the geometry, and like magic, I just retained back all of my geometry that I lost because I'm working with Turbo Smooth. Again, if you put in a bit more time into getting this in the right position, in that case, you will have a perfect shape and a perfect size for this faucet. All right, and like this. There we go. Now, as you can see, this is really following the contour, following the shape of this faucet closely. We can do the same thing up here. So Edit Poly, put on this thing, show the cage, and move all of these points inwards like that. Move those upwards. Move those down. And more or less, just go over your model. Make sure you haven't missed out on anything. If you have, just do the minor tweaks, and in no time you're gonna have the full or the final model. And there we go. All right, so I'm gonna unhide the base as well. Select everything. I'll make it gray where I can add in material. Oh, and just for the base, again, we can just go ahead, put a Edit Poly on top of it. Inset this, collapse it, and then select all the edges with a simple chamfer of a very small amount, like 0.1, and to edges we get a sharp end over there with the Turbo Smooth. There we go. Now we are done with this faucet. So I really hope you guys had some fun. Also, you managed to learn something new. If you have any questions about anything you saw in this video, then leave them below. I will meet you in the comment section of the video. If you did enjoy the video, then please click the like button And if you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.